right, so this is the answer key for our entropy and thermodynamics favorability. In part one here, we need to be able to look at our equation and determine if we're having positive or negative entropy. Now, as a reminder, remember that if I have a positive delta S, that means that my entropy is increasing. I know a lot of times we attach this chaos and disorder with a negative, but positive entropy means that the disorder is increasing, and a negative delta S means that my entropy is decreasing, meaning that it's becoming more ordered. So this has more disorder to it, and this has more order to it. All right, so let's jump right in here to number one. Now, I told you the main things that I usually look for when I'm doing these things is for the solids, liquids, or gases, so phase changes, or the number of moles. It's not the only thing, but by far it's the one that shows up the most. So here what I notice is that we have a solid that is changing to a liquid. Now think of it in terms of our possible arrangements. My solids can only be in one place, or in, let's say here, this one particular atom has 9 possible locations that it could be, versus a liquid that's in a container. There are many places that that liquid could be. So I've increased my number of possible arrangements. So with this one, we're going to have a positive delta S because we've increased the number of those microstates. And so my justification would be that solids have less possible arrangements, or less movement, or less microstates than liquids. And you can do it the reverse. Liquids have more possible arrangements than either one of those. Now, I only want you to do that for the first 2 or 3. I'm going to focus, for my time purposes, I'm going to talk about it, but I'm not necessarily going to write down each of those justifications. And really I'd like you to do that, the full justification for the first 3, but after that you can just write, was it because of phase change, was it because of number of moles, any of those. All right, so my second one here, I'm looking at my states of matter first. It's gas to gas. So we're not seeing any different in our phase change that could lead to an increased amount of possible arrangements. So what I'm going to focus on next is my number of moles. So what I see here is that I am starting with 2, and then there is a 1 right here. So I'm turning into 1 after that. So when we're looking at entropy in this question, what we're talking about is moles. We are going from 2 moles to 1 mole. And so this means we are decreasing the amount of freedom we have. We're lowering our possible number of arrangements. We're lowering our freedom of movement. We're lowering our number of microstates, again, however you want to word it. And so this is going to give us a negative delta S because we are reducing that freedom in our movement. All right, our next one here. We have 3 things this time, and so this can get a little crazy sometimes when we look at 3 things that are going on. So we are going from gases to liquids. So automatically off the bat, I'm going to be thinking we're decreasing because we are going from gas to liquid. So we're automatically, in my mind, we're reducing those possible arrangements. When we get into more than just 2 things, I also like to look at our number of moles. So on this side, we have 3 moles of gas, and we are moving to 2 moles of liquid. So this is a double whammy. Not only are we moving in our phase changes from gases to liquids, we're also reducing our number of moles. So this is a highly, highly, highly negative delta S, and the fact that we are hitting it from all ways. We've got the gas to the liquid and the 3 to 2 moles. Again, lowering our possible number of arrangements, lowering our freedom of movement, lowering our number of microstates. However you feel comfortable writing it. My personal, because again, they usually ask you to describe it in particles, is that you are decreasing the number of possible arrangements for the particles, or that you are reducing the movement or the freedom of movement for those particles. All right, and then our very last one here. So again, I have three things. I'm gonna check everything here. So the first one, though, right off the bat, is solids to aqueuses. And really, even if I'm gonna be changing my moles, which I am, the solid into an aqueous is an automatic. This is going to be a positive delta S, because I'm taking a solid and I'm breaking it into pieces. Now you will see that this is us 1 mole into 2 moles of ions, but in this case, no, our solid, anytime our solid is changing into something else, it is automatically that we're increasing that number of freedom, of the number of arrangements. So this is automatically going to be a positive delta S, even though our moles are changing, which you can't dissolve something without the moles changing. That solid to aqueous is going to trump everything, and we're going to have a positive delta S. All right, so those are the first ones I'm going to do for you for number 1 with our positive and negative delta S, because you got to do it in part 2 as well. So we'll do it a little bit more here. So when we're looking at our thermodynamic favorability, so our goal here is we need it to have a negative delta G. And so we're going to be looking at our equation that our delta G is equal to delta H minus T of delta S. Oops, let me move that. There we go. So every single one of these equations that you're doing in this part, you're going to be applying this equation to determine, are the scenarios going to give me the negative delta G in order for me to be favorable? Be careful if you're using AI or if you are using other pieces of the internet. They do not use the word spontaneous anymore. That is an automatic. You are incorrect in College Board's mind. So thermodynamically favorable is the terms that we are looking for. Now, remember, in order for this equation to give me a negative delta G, I need one of two things to happen, or both. I need either a negative delta H, so I need for the equation to be exothermic, or I need to have positive delta S, in which case the entropy is increasing. And so if I have both of these, that's amazing. If I have both of these, then automatically that equation is thermodynamically favorable at every possible temperature, because it's going to set up for my equation to give me a negative delta G. If I have none of them, then it's physically impossible. Doesn't matter what the temperature is, it is physically impossible for me to get a negative delta G out of that equation. Now, if I have one or the other, that's when we have to sit and look at our equation to determine, will a low temperature or high temperature give me the negative that I'm looking for? So it must have at least one of these variables. All right, so let's jump into for the first one here. So right off the bat, I see that I have a negative delta H. So at least some temperature is going to give me that negative delta G, but I also need to figure out what type of entropy value do I have. And I see that I am going from 3 moles of gas to 2 moles of liquid. So I'm reducing my moles. My phase change is going to be reducing that freedom of movement or those possible arrangements. So I have a negative delta S. All right, so let's plug this into our equation. We have our delta G is equal to our delta H minus T delta S. So this is a negative value minus RT, and this is a negative value. So we have a negative, and then these are going to come together to form a positive. Now, if I want to be thermodynamically favorable, I want this value to stay greater than this value, which means I want to make this value as small as possible to ensure that my delta H is going to allow it to to allow that negative to give me my negative delta G. So that means that this is going to give us a negative delta G at low temps. At high temperatures, even though I have that negative delta H, it's going to be overpowered by that higher temperature and that higher positive value. And then we would say that this is driven by my delta H. My delta H is what, because it does fulfill my two requirements, it is what's allowing for that delta G to be negative. All right, let's look at number 3. All right, so for number 3, I see that I have solid, solid, and there's a gas. And that's what I'm looking for. I have a solid that is going into a gas. So this is going to be a positive delta S. But I also see that I have a positive delta H. But I do have one of the scenarios that I need, so I'm going to plug it into my equation to figure out at what temperature will this equation work. So this is a positive minus my temperature, and this is a positive. So I have a positive, and these are going to come together to make a negative. In order for me to have a negative delta G, I need my right side value to be large so that it is larger than the positive delta S, meaning I need a high temp. So I will have a negative delta G at high temperatures with this equation. And then we can ask ourselves which of the two variables allowed us to create this negative. It's going to be driven by my entropy this time, because this time I had a positive delta H, so it could not have been driven by my enthalpy. All right, on to 7. With number 7, I'm going from a gas to a liquid. So if that is the case, then I am going to have a negative delta S. My entropy is decreasing because I'm reducing the number of possible arrangements. I also see that I have a positive delta H. I don't need to do any math here because of the fact that I don't have one of the two variables that's going to allow me to possibly have a negative delta G. To prove it, I can plug this into the equation for you. So we have delta H minus T delta S. So this is a positive minus a negative. This becomes positive. So both of my values are positive. There is no way for me, high or low temperature, to create a negative value that's going to allow me to have a negative delta G. So this is never thermodynamically favored. No temperature can allow this equation to be thermodynamically favored. All right, and then my very last one here. So we've got a gas, a gas, a gas, a gas. So it's not the phase change. My next check is going to be for the moles. So I have 6 moles on this side, and I'm changing into 7 moles. So I'm increasing the number of moles. So that means I'm going to have a positive delta S. My entropy is increasing because I'm increasing the number, the freedom of movement and the number of possible arrangements. Looking at my delta H, I see I have a negative delta H. This is both of my happy variables. That means that I'm going to have a negative delta G at all temperatures. This means it's near impossible, is impossible for me to make a positive delta G. Let's prove it. So, oops, we don't want that negative yet. H minus T delta S. So I have a negative delta H minus T, and I have a positive delta S. So this is also going to become negative. So I'm going to have a negative plus a negative, which is definitely going to give me a negative delta G. So this one is always, always, always going to be thermodynamically favored because I have both. So this is driven by both enthalpy and entropy because I have both of those that I'm needing.